Tara Gerard here, calling from Charleston, South Carolina. Happy anniversary, Mr. Andy Kushner. I am so excited for you and the Wedding Biz. I love your show. I love learning about all the peeps in the industry. So congratulations, and I hope that it continues on. And I can't wait to be on it again. Wishing you a happy anniversary.
Hey everybody, it's Andy Kushner, host of The Wedding Biz, and I am so excited because today marks the 1-year anniversary of the launch of the show. And I wanted to share with all of you why I started it, what was the motivation. And basically, I had spent many years through my music and entertainment company working with many of these iconic wedding and event industry professionals, and I got to firsthand experience just the passion, the commitment, the way that these people would put so much into creating dreams, making dreams come true for their clients, and taking us all on a journey. And at the same time, about 2-3 years ago, I had discovered the platform of podcasting, which is, as you all know, long-form interviews. And I felt that it gave an opportunity through this platform to really get in-depth information about guests. And I also really enjoy connecting with people. And I love hearing their stories and pulling out their stories because in addition to educational opportunities, it inspires me and it fuels me, not only in my career, but also personally. So at first, it was really just a passion project, but very quickly grew thanks to the incredible response of you, our listeners, and some eventual partnerships. And so in the matter of a few months, I realized that I needed a team. This is really serious. I wanted to take this whole thing to a whole nother level and really get it out and create a community. And I wanted not just any team, but a team of just insanely passionate, talented, and gifted people who share that same desire to elevate the wedding and industry to new heights. And so I am so excited right now to introduce you all to my team. And I want to begin with Melissa Fancy, who is our Director of Marketing for the Wedding Biz and also co-host of The Next Level. Hey, Melissa, take it away.
Hello, this is so exciting. Andy, I love the podcast and I'm so glad to be a part of this team. I started out in the luxury wedding industry as a planner and designer, and my career organically grew to becoming a consultant in the wedding industry. So, social media marketing, et cetera. And so when I met you and at Engage and we decided to, go on this journey, it was something that I just knew we had to all do together. And I am just empowered by all of the stories, by all of the interviews. And I think that it's so special because there's nothing else out there like it.
Well, thanks, Melissa. I'm so happy to have you on the team. The work you're doing is incredible. Also want to introduce Christy Haussler, who is our Director of Strategic Partnerships and a major consultant in the world of partnerships. Christy?
Hey, Andy. Hey, everyone. My name is Christy, like Andy said, and I am just honored in every possible way to be a part of the Wedding Biz and the Next Level. And I'm so excited of the direction that Andy has in store for you. I'm not going to steal all his thunder yet and give him a platform to say what he needs to say about the future of the show. But I will tell you, there are some exciting things going on. Podcasting is probably taking over just about every part of your life if you are a podcast listener. You're now seeing it on television shows. You're seeing it in mainstream media. I was watching a news show the other night that they said this show now gets turned into a podcast. So everyone is jumping on the podcast train, and it is such a powerful platform. And I am excited that for the wedding industry, which I am not an expert in, I'll leave that to Andy and Melissa, but there's really going to be some revolutionary and groundbreaking things coming out of the Wedding Biz. So please stay tuned. You have no idea how much work goes on behind the scenes just to make sure that we're meeting the needs of you, the listener. And so if you have needs, if you have questions, and if you have things that we can help you with, please know we want to know so that we can begin crafting exactly what you need to help with your business. So I'm not going to steal everyone's thunder or even be the spoiler for the episode, but in the later part of the episode, we are going to have Andy and Melissa share a little bit, kind of a sneak peek into what's going on in the future. So stay tuned for that because it's really going to blow your mind at some of the things that are going on. And it's nothing that you can find anywhere else in the wedding industry. So, Andy, before I get off my soapbox here, I wanted to ask you, as a podcaster with a year under your belt, which is an amazing accomplishment in itself, what surprised you most about going from the podcast listener fan club to now a podcast host fan club and being on the backside of the mic?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know if this is so much of a surprise, but it was really interesting for me to discover a thread that tied everybody together. I mean, we're talking planners, designers, cake designers, photographers, makeup. I mean, all the different people that have been on the podcast and who we have in the can. And maybe not, we'll reveal some of the names who are yet to be released. But I noticed that one of the threads is that just the desire and the enjoyment of every one of these people connecting with their clients. That was one of the biggest takeaways that I got from it. And I know that I do that in my own business, but it was just interesting that each guest talked a lot about that, how important that is to them. And so I was able to see not only the vulnerabilities that come out through these interviews, because people are really open. And I thank all of our guests for being so direct and open and sharing, fears, desires, all of it. But it was that love for connecting with their clients. That was really a standout.
Yeah. And, we hear that again and again and again. And it's sort of like every single show that at some point in the interview, you're going to hear that Wedding Biz guest say how important it is to connect. But, I don't know, not everyone's an extrovert. Maybe there are some introverts that are having to do some inner work to get to the point where connection is easy for them. Melissa, I know connecting with people is something you're really good at. Do you have any tips that you could share with anyone for connecting? Because I know you connect with your clients in an amazing way.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I talked to Andy about this a little bit. I'm like an extroverted introvert, which is super crazy.
Hard to believe, Melissa.
I love, and I know a lot of people are like this actually, and it's like a new self-discovery, but like I love socializing. I love networking. I love conferences. I love talking to strangers all day long. But I find that I run out of energy. It drains me. So I have to find time to recharge myself. So like when I tell you guys, hey guys, I'm out this weekend, I'm going to go, I won't have cell phone service. That's like my self-care. So I think that if you are new to that world, that is going to be one of the most successful tools for you, whether you're talking to clients or new friends, right? And if you are a complete extrovert all the time, that's great. But you also need to take the time to, bring it back to yourself and your purpose. And if you can figure out whether it's a personality you put on when you go to networking events or whether you really learn how to just be authentic with your clients, there's a lot of different ways that you can go about that. But man, every single one of our guests had figured it out, and you listen to it each time. And, one of the things I love about what you said, Christy, is it's a reminder of what we're supposed to be doing. There's so many people I talk to time and time again that are working on their business all the time, and they forget how to find that real purpose again of what they're doing. And what really makes each of these guests successful is the connection they have with their clients. And that's really what we're doing. We're not about making a formula and repeating it for every wedding. That doesn't work. It's not sustainable. But all of our guests remind me every time that that's our true purpose.
And what an amazing, I was going to say, even just from, people that are in the industry, the event industry, to know and have experienced so much of the events and know what it does to you. So you kind of view the events differently because you're wanting to make space for the family or the bride or the groom or the whoever's throwing the event. You want to make that space for them so that this is not the most exhausting thing and the most draining thing they've ever gone to. And you want them to actually get their energy from that. So what a great lesson to learn about connection, because it is, I do find I only go to conferences, and all the conferences I go to are podcasting conferences, and most of us are introverts. And so we sit in the lobby texting each other.
Hard to believe. Are you saying you're an introvert? Please, Christy.
I am.
Please.
Absolutely. So it's funny because we know what those events do, and you come home and you want to just crash for 2 days, but you're sort of recharged at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, you've got 10,000 things on your hit list of what you got to fix and what you got to do with your business.
That's right.
It's an amazing thing that you guys control the event to do that.
It's true. And that's actually, Andy, one of my favorite things about the podcast, right? Okay, for example, last Engage, I listened to so many incredible people, and I felt like, I had this great connection. I had great conversations with them. But then what was great is I could come home and I could listen to their story on your podcast. And this is before I even started working with you, but it really reminded me of all of the things I wanted to do. It kept that motivation going well after the conference. So I know that we're getting ahead of ourselves, but I think that's one of the things that we are going to try to focus on, is bringing more of that feeling to all the conferences, because there's something so powerful there.
Yeah, and I want to mention too, we know this, and especially Christy being in the podcast industry as a consultant, there's the evergreen nature of these interviews. And sometimes, honestly, having nothing to do with the business, I'm on a plane, I'm driving, whatever, I'm exercising, and I'll go back and listen to some of these interviews and conversations that I did a long time ago. It's almost as if I'm hearing it objectively. I may not have listened for months at a time, and I'm just like, I don't know. Again, the way they reveal themselves and open, and to hear this inside story, like that's also, in addition to, this incredible response that we're getting from the listeners, that's so much of what, again, fuels me to keep going and keeps me so excited and keep getting on planes. Because another thing, as you all know, is that at least so far, I do not do interviews with Skyping or anything like that. I am only in person, because it's almost like our businesses that we're all doing in the industry. How can we really get to know our clients and our partners too, that we work with in industry, unless we have some kind of a chance to personally connect? And so that's been, I just can't, I'm so excited. If you can't tell, I still am.
Well, and you've done that with the team too, because even though we do all work remotely and live in different parts of the country, you've met us in person. And so it's kind of exciting whenever the online relationships become in real life relationships, and the in real life relationships extend to online.
Right.
So, Andy, can I just ask you one question off the cuff? Have you ever gotten starstruck whenever you're suddenly walking into one of these big guys' houses and sitting down in their living room to do the interview?
Oh, that's a funny question, Christy. I did not expect that.
Does it happen?
To be honest, okay, I'll be a little vulnerable here. For the most part, maybe it's from all my entertainment experience, like some of the things that I have done, like I no longer perform myself on stage because I wanted to, really dive into this, and I'm still running the other business too, is that there's a way that I just kind of calm myself. Because if I'm going to connect with people, and I urge all of you, when you're at these conferences and you have these opportunities, and one thing I find is that, we're calling them these icons, these really experienced people, everyone is ultimately approachable. And so, yeah, Christy, sometimes there are certain people who I have obviously heard about, who I haven't worked with for years and years, and I've seen them, whatever, on TV, I've read their books, I see, editorials on them. And once in a while, to answer your question, once in a while, before I step in the room, I have to just say, okay, hold on, we're going to sit down and have a real conversation. This is a real person who has accomplished great things. It's not necessarily that they're so special. It's just that through their experience, and believe me, every one of them, the hard work, my God, in order to get to these levels, and we all know who are listening here, at any level, it takes an enormous amount of commitment and dedication and passion and energy and love and work and educating yourself, which again is a big part of the reason for this show, is to provide more of that education and inspiration. And so that's what I keep in mind every time I'm sitting in front of somebody who impresses me like that.
And not to put any extra pressure on it, as every interview comes up is with a different bigwig in the industry. But you also now have the pressure of knowing that we're all living these interviews through you vicariously. And so, many of us would like to be able to sit down and have a conversation with some of these people. And so It's up to you, big guy. You got to bring home home the goods.
I'm going to let Melissa address that later in this episode, that we are absolutely wanting to engage with you all, our listeners, and provide opportunities to share your own struggles and have questions. And again, later we'll get into this about different platforms that we're adding to the show, in different ways through our social media, through our website, where again, we could, answer some questions. We could discuss some of these struggles. We're talking about having some guest hosts, not for the actual interviews, but for the other show that we added recently, The Next Level, which Melissa's going to talk about later. So yeah, Christy, sky's the limit here. Sky is the limit. We are wide open. I'm wide open to ideas.
That's amazing. Well, I tell you what we'll do now is, if you don't mind, I've put together a highlight reel kind of to catch people up on maybe some of the best interviews that they might not have heard yet. So let me play that for you guys, and it'll get you kind of up to date on the talent and the celebrity level people that Andy's had a chance to sit down face to face and have a conversation with.
Hi, Andy. This is Ron Ben Israel from Ron Ben Israel Cakes, your cake guy. And I wanted to congratulate you on the 1-year anniversary of the Wedding Biz. Listen, I was a little bit nervous before you interviewed me because there are so many luminaries of the wedding and event industries already that are included in the podcast. And I wasn't sure if I will be able to measure up. But you put me at ease. Your questions were very thorough. Some of them were difficult because I really had to think and phrase myself. But I'm very pleased with the results. I know we all got a very positive feedback from the podcast, but it was fun to participate. And if you ever need me for anything else, I'm here. I want to be your cake guy. Once again, congratulations, and we'll talk soon.
When I sat down with Mindy Weiss, and she said,
you need to listen, and then you hope that your clients do the same. Because the hardest thing for me, and I think some of my friends in the business, is adjusting your taste and your feelings of, being stuck on a certain timeline or stuck on certain music, stuck on a design. But it's not our event. I really feel it's their event, and they're hiring you to create their dreams, not to create my dreams.
Yeah, sure. There are so many incredible stories about what the level and scope of some of our guests' early weddings were, like Colin Cowie, whose first wedding that he designed and planned, and I might add with stunning innovations, was Hugh Hefner's, or a pivotal moment in the early part of Preston Bailey's career when he had his epiphany about the concept of transformation.
I remember it like it was yesterday, and that client was Joan Rivers. Joan said something that I thought was fascinating. She said, listen, I would like to transform the ballroom at the Plaza Hotel to look like a scene from an opera. Have you been to the opera? She said, do you see when this curtain goes up? That is exactly the excitement that I want the guests to feel, that when they walk in, they said, oh my God, this is just so incredible.
It's fascinating how practically every guest seemed to fall into this industry with the path unfolding before them in the beginning of their career, like David Beam, who got a music and education degree and began as a small-town high school band and choir director who admitted that his entire career has been driven by synchronicity. And some had unexpected personal events that led to entering the industry, like Sylvia Weinstock. You said you had breast cancer. I mean, my God.
That was the impetus to say that we wanted to change our life, because I didn't know how many years I would have. I had friends who never made it out of breast cancer and died. So you say to yourself, well, life is very precious now. I've been given a warning. What do I want to do with whatever's left in my life? So we decided to come to New York.
The level of creativity our guests have and the ways in which they manifest it to create a unique and over-the-top experience is so inspiring. Like David Stark, who talked about designing a very successful event using materials no one would even consider using. Or Mindy Rice, who completely turns the concept of floral design on its head. Or Brian Raffanelli, who designed a floating wedding on a river, the concept of which had never been done before, and more than that, would not be capable of doing ever again.
And I'm like, don't think garbage barge.
Yeah, right.
Think beautiful barge. So we literally built a barge. And we built it in one part of the city on the other side of the bay. Yeah. And then we sailed it over to the waterfront. And if you think about a barge, it's flat.
Yes.
And flat things are really good places to build tents.
What a great idea.
And we built tents and bathrooms and kitchens and everything that I do for weddings on a barge on the water in this magical place. And then after the wedding was over, the barge went away.
Awesome. No one can ever do it again. Being aware that we are a brand and having clarity as to what that brand is something many guests talk about, like during my conversation with Tara Gerard, when she talked about how very early in her career, she realized she needed a PR company to clarify her brand as well as promote it. And Lynn Easton, who also early realized the importance of identifying her brand.
I've got to brand myself. I've got to decide. I have got to set some goals about what I want to achieve. And I had to say out loud, which is what I would encourage anyone who's trying to achieve anything. If you don't articulate it, you can't do it. And you have to say out loud. I remember literally saying it and how scary it was to actually feel comfortable enough to say, I want to be one of the best in the country. That's a scary thing to say.
Yeah. And David Tutera, who talks about how he views sustaining his career and bolstering his brand.
Being able to sustain a career is being able to reinvent yourself.
Yes.
And I do find that in any industry, specifically the industry of creating events, many people get very burned out. They get exhausted. They get tired. They get to a place where they just don't know how they can continue doing anything creative.
Yeah.
But I have managed to always not change my career, but expand my vision and allow myself to do new things that I have not done before.
All that you've just heard is a mere snippet of the wealth of engaging and what I consider to be career-lifting and even potentially life-changing inspiration. I know this because I've been in the business for a long time through my music and entertainment company and now with this podcast, and I have seen it all and am still personally affected in some profound way by every single conversation. And the comments we get from listeners is fuel that keeps driving myself and my outrageously passionate and committed team to continue what we're doing. And this includes our add-on segment with each interview called The Next Level with a co-host. And the two of us break down the day's interview and translate it into specific tactical strategies we can all use to improve our businesses. And he made the point that often we will prioritize what is the easiest to do because then we can feel like we accomplished something. I mean, I'm guilty of that. Like, I know if I do this, I can get it done. I can feel good, but then I'm not necessarily doing what's best for my business.
Right. Well, and it's like, you know how the people that say like with your credit card debt, pay off the one that's the easiest to pay off first and then tackle. It's sort of the opposite though.
Yeah.
You know, you have to focus on what is going to get you to your purpose faster, whatever that end goal is. All right, guys, so you've just heard some of our favorite little moments over the past year. Congratulations, Andy, for me. I am the one behind the scenes that gets to look at our website and marketing fun stuff. And so I wanted to share with you guys today, Andy, I don't know if you've even heard some of these, but there's some of my favorite reviews from listeners. So I just wanted to bring them up because honestly, at the end of the day, we're grateful for you, our listener, and that's what's keeping us going. So Andy, if you don't mind, I'm going to share 3 of my favorite ones.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm psyched.
Cool. So my favorite one at the top of the list so far is from Megan at OFD Consulting. Hi, Megan. You said, I'm a longtime podcast enthusiast and was thrilled to see Andy launch one that focused on some of the brightest stars in the industry. The insight has been invaluable, and I myself have seen an increase in my wedding PR services thanks to the guests who have continued to share how publicity transformed their businesses. Looking forward to the new episodes in 2018. I love that.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. I'm psyched. That's great.
Amazing. We got to get Megan on the podcast. Okay. So next we have one from Claire. And she said, this is a must listen to for everyone in the wedding business. Every episode is so full of lessons of all kinds, ones we can all learn from no matter what our role in the business. Amazing.
Yeah. Nice. Thank you, Claire. That's sweet.
And then the last one I'm going to mention is from one of our iTunes listeners. And they said, these podcasts provide a unique peek into the careers of amazing wedding professionals. Even though I know and have worked with many of the interviewees, it's great to hear a curated conversation about their life paths, careers, and insights into the business of events and weddings. It's an hour of uninterrupted conversation that I rarely get to spend hearing how my favorites have navigated their careers. Well done, and looking forward to more, including hopefully my own. So.
Oh, cool. That's great. That's great.
Awesome.
That's neat.
Hey, Andy, it's David Starr calling to wish you my most sincere congratulations. I can't believe it's only been a year. Your riveting podcast is always one of my favorites. So keep up the great work and congratulations. And thank you for giving us so much incredible content to be thinking about.
Melissa, I love hearing from, the listeners as to what it is that they like about the show. I also would love to hear suggestions. And I know that you're going to talk in a moment about the channels that we're opening up in order to give people an opportunity to tell us who would they like to have me interview and what are some ideas. I mean, like I say, that anything's possible with this show. So if you can start, Melissa, with telling everybody what is coming and what we just recently started, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah. I am stoked. So we just started a new segment to the podcast called The Next Level, which is where you and I, Andy, connect and we talk about the last episode you just did, and we pull out all kinds of great lessons and major inspiration for people. And then we also will send out a guide after it to anyone who signs up to get more of a full list, because as we know, there's a lot of meat and potatoes in every interview.
Yeah, Melissa, it's an opportunity to really specify tactical strategies that we can all use. Like, that's where we're going now. We want to take this information and deliver it to all of you in a way that you can use it to bring your business to the next level.
Yeah.
Hence the title of the segment, right?
Yeah. It's really about trying to take what you're doing and translate it into something that, people have inspiration, but then what do you do with that inspiration? We're trying to give them the next steps that they can just go home and say, oh, okay, I need to do this now. Not just all of the notes filled from a conference, right? We're giving them the actual hey, this is what you should be doing based off of what the last guest just said.
Yeah. And that's just really a snippet, right? Because they average, 15, 20 minutes, whatever. And so if you want to tell everybody about how they can get more information from us, that gives much more information than just that 15 minutes.
Right. So if you are on our website or on our Instagram, you'll find a link to sign up for that mailing list. And we'll just be sending out that document. We're trying to get it once a week after the interview to everyone who signed up. And it will just be much longer, and it'll have more instructions and any links that I can find that I can help connect the dots for you. I will include that as well.
Yeah. And theweddingbiz.com, that is the website. Again, theweddingbiz.com. And the handle, Melissa, to direct message?
Our Instagram handle is at Wedding Biz Show. And if you go into our LinkedIn profile, there's actually a lot of links in that link, and you can sign up right there for the guide.
Great. What else do you have?
So one of the things that we've been working on a lot, and we've been building the foundation for it, is really taking our online relationship offline. We really want to take the community of listeners that we have all over the nation. And you know what? We actually have listeners in the UK, so we'll go there too. We want to make it something that is more in person, because we definitely value the relationships of our listeners. And so when we go places and we travel, we're going to start doing things like having meetups. We'll let you guys know, hey, we're in LA or we're in New York. We're going to be at this place. Come hang out with us. We really want to meet our listeners and, have some FaceTime with them. We're also trying to elevate the experience and go bigger. Instead of just bringing you education, we actually want to bring specific conversations to you. So we're bringing some segments called Ask Andy, Ask Melissa. We're going to do that either on Instagram or we're going to do that on the show. We also have a long list of guests that we want to do specific sort of mini educational interviews and lessons on the podcast itself.
Yeah. And I want to add to that too, for the next level, that particular segment, from time to time, we're going to have some guests with us that most likely were already interviewed on the show, at that kind of level. We're really looking for all kinds of opportunities to take this show to more places and again, provide more conversation and most of all, We want to build the community. I mean, I love, like Melissa, when you mentioned, when we're traveling around like these kind of meetups, again, I do all these in person still so far. And so when I'm flying to whatever various cities, we'll definitely put out word. And we'll pick some time, a night, whatever, a Starbucks or something like that, and to meet at, because we want to have a chance to meet each other and give you all opportunity for more networking, like-minded people. So
it's also taking where we're going a lot of times is going to be conferences, right? Because that's where a lot of our guests are at. And so we really want to showcase the conference. We want to showcase the venue, but we also want to showcase our listeners that might be at those conferences because we know there's a lot there. And Instagram and Facebook have live options that are really great for us to share, firsthand our experiences there. And that's so valuable, especially to the people who couldn't, necessarily make it.
Oh, that's a good point. I want to say, Melissa, just to let everyone know, at the time of the recording of this anniversary show, the next conference that Melissa and I are going to go to together is Engage at the beautiful, stunning, in Banff at the Fairmont. I mean, my God, I can't wait. It's such a beautiful part of the country, and the Fairmont's incredible. And Rebecca and Catherine put on such a great conference. And so we're going to be there. And yes, I'm going to be interviewing people during the show. And Melissa, you're going to go do your thing with social media and all of that. I am like stoked for this conference. So those of you who are going to be coming to that conference, please direct message us at Wedding Biz Show. Let us know that you're coming.
Especially if you're coming in like the day before, because we just want to hang out. We're going to be there.
Yeah, that's a really great point. And for those of you who are not able to make this particular conference, the reason I brought Melissa on is because of her incredible ability to connect and to be able to basically bring to you what is going on in this industry in so many ways. So you're going to be able to follow along with a lot of what happens at the conference through our eyes. Cool.
Yeah, you guys, and I wanted to also point out that I know that many of you might not have even visited the website, theweddingbiz.com. So if you're listening to the podcast, we understand you're on your mobile device, and keep listening. Don't get me wrong. We want you to listen. But if you haven't checked out theweddingbiz.com, I've got to give major props to what Melissa's done behind the scenes, because our website looks fabulous. It really looks beautiful. And I'll tell you, not just from the perspective of finding show notes for the podcast and that sort of thing on there, but we are uploading every single week lots of images and just beautiful, inspiring photographs that each of these celebrity guests are giving us. And sometimes they're part of their private collection. They might not have published them on their website. They might not have published them anywhere else. And so if you want to be inspired, just go start scrolling through some of the past episodes, because they're easy to find. Theweddingbiz.com is completely updated. It's completely mobile responsive. It looks like your favorite wedding magazine, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. So thank you, Melissa, for getting that to the point where we can just really, really, really use it to get every single image and every single episode on there looking like a champ.
Oh, for sure. And what's interesting is, the podcast is so valuable as a podcast, but what we're doing has so much more to offer content-wise. So what we're doing with this site is really making it like a hub for everything that we're up to, because it does extend far beyond the podcast itself.
It does. And I think one of the things that, even as far as podcasting grows and as what we do and our reach grows, we're continuing to look for ways to partner with everything on the periphery of the wedding and event planning industry. So there are going to be some really unique opportunities that are going to be presenting themselves from the partnership level and from the podcast level that will only be highlighted on the website. And so that website being stellar looking and looking so beautiful and just really easy to navigate. It's just easy, and I love it. And so I think one of the things that you have brought is just an amazing sense of style to the website. So thank you for doing that. If you haven't checked it out, definitely do that. But I also wanted to ask you one other thing as a listener to the Wedding Biz. You might listen to us on, any given podcast app, because we're on all of them. We're on Spotify and iHeartRadio and all the streaming platforms. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, all of these places. And wherever you choose to listen to us, it's really, really important that you subscribe to the show. And what that basically does, it means that the minute we publish a show, it is going to get pushed to your phone and you'll get a notification that there's a new episode. And what that does is it keeps you from having to go find us. It keeps it, if there's a, for example, if iTunes has a problem or something, the iTunes store isn't working or the episodes aren't updating in a timely fashion, you've still got it on your phone because you are a subscriber. And it's very important that if you want to continue listening to the show, just go ahead and hit subscribe on any podcast app that you're listening on, because that will basically put it in your playlist for the next time that you turn on your phone, and you'll have all of that information at your fingertips. And again, you've got that every week. You've got a show coming up with a celebrity. And besides that, you get the next level with Andy and Melissa, kind of breaking down the tactical strategies for that celebrity, business success. So you don't want to miss any of that. So great job on the website, and even on Andy for having the vision for where the show's going and for what you can actually make it. So excellent job, both of you.
Thanks, Christy.
This is Sylvia Weinstock speaking. Andy, you made one of the best in-depth interviews that I've ever had. I certainly enjoyed speaking and being with you, but I think your audience will learn a great deal from the talk we both had. I wish you all the very best of luck.
And before we close, Christy, do you want to just say a little bit more about partnership opportunities?
Yeah, you as a listener and someone who is in or around the wedding and event planning business, you might be looking for someone with some media experience or a platform to partner with for your next event or your next project or something that you have going on that we maybe don't even know or haven't heard of yet. And so we are interested in just knowing, how can we partner with you so that we can be better and serve our listeners more, and so that we can help you get whatever you're doing out into the world of event planners and wedding designers. So it's definitely one of those things that if you have kind of something brewing in the back of your mind, and maybe we've never thought about it before, we're committed to thinking outside the box in a way that maybe not every podcaster will. And so you're going to be seeing some things come from us that you're just going to scratch your head and be like, man, how did they think of that? Because that's a great fit for what we're doing here. But we're open to all of those things. And as someone who is in charge of kind of developing these partnerships, you definitely want to reach out to us through any of our channels. You can reach out to us through the website. You can reach out to us through our social media channels, and we'll definitely be glad to hear about any ideas you might have, because we want to help you. We're here to support you, and best way to do that is to partner with you.
Yeah, thanks, Christy. So at this time, before we completely close out today's episode, and, I also just in front of everyone here, I want to say to both you, Melissa, and Christy, I am so grateful to have you on my team. I mean, hey, you all who are listening, you just had an opportunity to get to know them more. And obviously, you know what I'm talking about. So it frees me up is what it does to have both of you doing what you do for the show. And you're bringing ideas that I would just never think of. My main thing is create content. So thank you so much. And you, the listener, I want to personally thank you all so much, because again, this thing started as this passion project, and the kind of response that I was getting in the very beginning is, again, it's what motivated me and told me that, okay, I'm onto something here. This is something that you can all use, enjoy, learn from, be inspired from, be motivated, because look, this is a hard business. Again, I've got my own experience through my music and entertainment company, and I know how much blood, sweat, and tears that it takes. It's very rewarding, and it's very scary, and there's struggles, there's ups and downs, all of it. And so this platform is a chance for us all to share. And again, I thank you all from the bottom of my heart for listening. And I really appreciate when you all share with your friends and colleagues, because again, that's how we continue to build this community. And as Melissa and Christy have said, go ahead and write us and just bring up ideas, suggestions, any challenges you're facing, questions, reviews too. Maybe Melissa, you could address that in a second. But again, thank you, everybody. And my guests, I want to speak to you all for a moment now. I mean, I have goosebumps. Like, what can I say? To sit in front of each of you in this intimate kind of a environment, every single time, it's like we forget that the mics are even there. And I am just stunned many times at how open and vulnerable you all are and honest that you are. And it just moves me to no end. So thank you so much, too. Thank you.
Andy, it's David Beam. Congratulations. Happy anniversary. Let's do it again real soon. I had a great time.
I'm Colin Cowie, and I'm calling to congratulate Andy and the Wedding Biz on your incredible podcast. A 1-year anniversary is a big feat. Thank you for bringing such in-depth, amazing interviews. Congratulations.
I'm Harmony Walton with The Bridal Bar, and I am so happy for Andy and his team at the Wedding Biz. Congratulations on your 1-year anniversary.
Hi, Andy. It's Sharon Sachs, and I couldn't wait to call and wish you a happy anniversary on the Wedding Biz podcast. It is incredible, and I'm listening to it all the time. Congratulations. Bye, sweetheart.
This is Debbie Geller, and I wanted to wish you heartfelt congratulations on a lifetime in the wedding business, and congratulations on 1 year of sharing the Wedding Biz with so many people. Congratulations.
Hi, Andy, Melissa, and Christy. It is Sean Lowe. I just wanted to give you a big shout out for your 1-year anniversary on the Wedding Biz. I am obviously a huge fan, having participated, and I think what you're doing is remarkable at getting at the feeling of your guests. And Andy, you have this amazing ability to reach in and get people to feel comfortable being who they are and sharing who they are and giving us a window into all the things that make us do what we do, which is there's just nothing more compelling. I am certainly proud to be associated with the podcast, and I wish you much, much more luck in the future, and can't say enough positive things. Congratulations.